episode of Musical Chairs with me, Cheer Up Charlie. And today we have the amazing, the wonderful, he is here for one day more, being very charming. He's Vinny Coyle, everybody!
Yay! Love it.
Hi, how are you?
I'm very good, my boy. How are you? How's things? How's everything? How's life?
Everything is amazing, and I'm loving life. At my favourite school I've ever been at, and just everything's amazing.
Good lad. That's lovely to hear. And also lovely to hear we had a quick chat off air about your lovely musical weekend that you've got planned, which will be fantastic.
Yeah. I don't know whether the background's going to be changed or whether it's going to stay like this, but if it hasn't been changed, you can see I'm in a hotel room. But, you know, it's actually a really nice hotel room. It like looks out straight onto the sea and everything.
Oh,
and it's really...
I mean, what a horrible life.
I know, awful, absolutely. But yeah, if you're ready, I'll start asking some questions.
Far away.
So, what age did you discover that you love to perform, and what was your first performance? Mine was I Just Can't Wait to Be King, and I can tell you now, I was absolutely terrible.
One, I bet you weren't, and two,
no,
what a classic!
I genuinely was.
What a classic!
I was 5, and I could not sing a note to save my life.
Brilliant, absolutely brilliant. I mean, I'm sure you, honestly, well, at 1 at 5, if anything comes out and you're brave enough to get up on stage, fair enough.
I was wearing a lion costume, probably fit me now.
Brilliant, absolutely brilliant. Brilliant. First thing I was ever in. I was quite late to the party, really. I mean, I played football till I was like 16. So we're going back. Yeah, so we're going back quite a few years. So probably the first thing I ever did performance-wise was probably one of my like nativities at school. I played Jesus in I can't actually remember what it was called, but that was like year 5, year 6, and that was like my big break, as they say. But yeah, that was kind of the first time I was ever really sort of. I'd always sort of like my mum loved Grease and things like that, and like my nan loved musicals growing up, but it was never really sort of. I kind of used to hide it a bit that I did theatre because of football. I felt like a bit of a wally. But now knowing what I know is anything bar that. And I think it's funny looking back on how I used to perceive it. Because I used to do it once a week, and I used to love it. It used to be my way of getting away from football and sort of switching my brain off. But yes, it probably would have been that, I think. I can't remember anything else. I think it would have been that, yeah.
The biggest break I've ever had was playing a rock in Stonehenge in Nativity while a bunch of people ran around singing. Not even in Nativity, just in a school thing, where a bunch of girls ran around Stonehenge, aka a bunch of us lay down on the floor with ribbons going, ah.
I mean, that's probably it'll probably end up that will probably end up being a huge musical hit, and we'll call it Stonehenge the Musical, and it'll be an absolute success.
I was laying
oh, great, laying with style. That's what we want.
Amazing rock. So, did you have a really supportive family growing up, people from the arts, or were they like mine and didn't really know that much about it, but were still supportive?
Exactly the same as yours. Didn't have a clue. My dad fits windows, and my mum now works for the council, and she used to be my support assistant at school. So we are like normal as normal can be in terms of family. In terms of we're not a musical theatre family at all. So just kind of that. Grew up watching Wizard of Oz, Grease, but just because it was on the telly more so than anything else. My nan loves Wizard of Oz as well, so I kind of grew up every Christmas we'd watch that, And really, I think I used to go and see shows when I was younger, and my mum always used to, if she was going to London, we used to, she used to go, we'll go to see a show.
Yeah.
It's great, right? Going to see a show, even if you're not involved. What an experience to have.
Oh yeah.
And I think really for me, they were really supportive in my contrast from football to theatre was very quick. I had like a year and a half between finishing playing football and going to drama school, and it was literally like that. And that was so till 16, all I did was play football, run around like a absolute nutcase, and kick the ball around. And then literally spun it on its head, and within 18 months was in a dance class.
Oh, wow.
And it was a big change for me because my family were like, "Are you sure this is what you want to do? Are you, will you be committed to it?" Obviously it's a big change from maybe going to do some coaching or be a physio. But once I'm sort of committed to something, I knew
Yeah.
that I loved it. And as soon as they know me very well, once I'm committed to something, that's it. I'm sort of very much like that. I think once it's in my sights, that's it. It's we're onto a winner then. And they were great with me. So yeah, I'm really lucky. Really
Awesome.
lucky.
So I see you trained at the awesome Arts Ed, and I was lucky enough to spend the day with them and the senior staff watching them perform. And it made me realize just how expensive the art is and the sacrifices everyone, including my parents, already make. So how do you think we can make it more accessible?
That is a fantastic question. I think, like you say, it's an expensive industry. From when you're like you say 5 and you're being a lion and singing "Just Can't Wait to Be King," all the way up to where I am now, and classes are expensive. The money is limited in terms of there's a big jump between theatre and film and TV. That's a big jump in terms of financials.
Oh yeah.
And I think as like we're doing here now, I think it's making it as accessible as we can, especially through the uses of social media. They have a lot of negatives, but I think if we can access them in a positive way, that's such the amount of free content and good content that is already out there and can be used, I think is huge. Especially people like yourself who are younger, who want to get into this industry. If we can get stuff on Spotlight putting out, or Equity putting out free classes with people in the industry, even
Absolutely.
if it's, you look at lockdown, what happened in lockdown, everybody came together in lockdown to make the most of a horrific situation for everybody. And I think if we can continue that via the uses of social media, free classes, yes, obviously we need to earn money. Of course we do. That's, I'd be silly to say, oh, let's just do it all for free. But I think for me, being in the industry and having experienced stuff along the way, I meet obviously older people that have been in the industry for years more than I have. And it is an interesting thing of going, the more time and the more effort we can give to people coming through to musical theatre, the more opportunities and the more they have to grow into better performers. So I think the more they can access free content, I think is great. Places like Pineapple, if they put on some more taster classes for people to go and try dance, that people might go, oh yeah, I love it, let me come and do some tap classes or some. And I think that's or a free tap stream every week, so people could tune in on YouTube to do something like that. I think it's like you say, the world is so accessible now, in a good way and a bad. That's, I think, for everybody, it should be more accessible, and I think that's the way forward. I think, hopefully, anyway. But yeah, that's kind of long-winded answer.
Oh no, I like listening to them. They're always really interesting. So one of my favorite musicals is Big Fish. So how hard was it when you had to learn the Alabama Stomp?
I love that you've done your research. This is great. So we were actually the first ever company to do Big Fish in the UK,
Oh, wow.
which was a pretty cool experience. I remember when it got announced at Artsed the year we were doing it, people were like, "Oh my god, it's never come to the UK before. It's going to be, you know." And for us, it was a big thing. Obviously, it's not a professional gig because we were at drama school,
Yeah.
but I think doing Big Fish in terms of the whole the storyline is crazy. The music is phenomenal.
Oh,
But
yeah, I love
yeah,
it.
the Alabama song was great. Like it's one of those unique moments when you see the show that no matter who you are, what age you are, whether you're in the audience, whether you're part of it, everybody is filled with joy. And it's just that moment of there are certain moments in shows where, you know, One Day More in Les Mis,
Yeah.
where people can't take, everybody feels involved in something, and for that sort of 30 seconds or the 2 minutes, however long that moment lasts for, everybody is in tune to the same thing, and you sort of, the joy of looking around and seeing everybody's faces and the energy that it creates, it was, yeah, it was pretty magical. It was pretty magical.
That's so cool. So, where were you when you got the call that you got to Les Mis?
I was actually, so I was arts ed. So
Oh, wow.
I was still at art. So I got called into the office. I did my final for Les Mis. And then I waited about 2 weeks, I think, to hear. And I came in to see what was then Chris at the time, head of musical theatre. And he basically said, "Can you come to the office, please?" And I'm thinking, oh no, what have I done wrong? You know, you know, I'll make sure I was on time. My pirouettes to the left and the right were okay. I know they weren't the best, but hoping he's not going to kick me out. And then he basically just said, "Look, we've had Les Mis have been in touch. They've offered you a position of swing. Would you like to take it?" And I'm like, "Yeah." For me, it was the first West End show I really remember being like sat in the seat being like, this is incredible. This is one of those shows that I remember where I was sat. I remember the seat I was sat in. I remember, which I went to go and look at actually on my first, when I was on stage for the first time as a swing. I went up to the seat I sat in the first time I ever saw it. And it was quite a weird experience of looking down from where the first time I ever saw it to then sort of going back on stage and looking up to where I was. It was a really cool moment for me, I think, to look around and go, what, you know, to have come from sitting and watching to being in the stage was quite a nice sort of experience to have.
Yeah.
But yeah, I remember from my parents ringing my parents and being like, "I'm going into Les Mis," and they were like, "What?" And it was all the hard work and that had come before it instantly was worth it. You just kind of disappears. All the sort of blood, sweat, and tears that happen at drama school, within that second, are all worth it. But yeah, it was probably, I won't say it was the best moment of my career, but it was probably up there with one that I will never ever forget in terms of
Yeah.
moments, because that's where it started, right? That's where my career
Yeah.
started, really. Yeah, there you go.
So you then went on to Miss Saigon. So do you prefer the West End, or do you prefer being on tour and visiting loads of amazing cities and perhaps then seeing fans who wouldn't normally be able to make it to the West End?
That another great question. I'll give you two parts to this answer, if that's okay.
No, absolutely. Ending the interview.
Great. So for me, I'm a real homing pigeon, so I love being at home. So like having my sofa, my flat with sofa, sorry, is like my home. So I love it.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. So leaving that I find hard.
Okay.
But touring, I did Miss Saigon for 22 months. So I did it for a long time, nearly 2 years.
Yeah.
And I loved everything about the show. It was a dream show of mine to do. I mean, it's not often you get to fly a helicopter on stage. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, not bad, right?
No, not really.
um, so to do, and I got to travel around, like you say, the cities of the UK. And while I was in the cities, I travel around all the local areas and stuff. Had some amazing coffees, had some food, and I think for me it was that feeling of getting to know our country better, because it's an amazing place, our country.
Oh
And
yeah,
then also going to Europe as well was as good. It was lovely.
I bet.
It was just really nice to, yeah, it was
Hmm.
amazing just to see all the places, and also some beautiful theatres.
Oh,
And I
bet.
had a really cool experience in Manchester, where I did Saigon. I was on for Chris, and I had a Vietnamese veteran from the war who came in to see the show,
Wow.
um, which was an amazing experience to sort of speak
Mhm.
to someone who was in the war,
Yeah,
and to sort of, how their experiences sort of, did I do the role justice,
yeah,
um, so yeah, but touring life is amazing, but also tough because you're away from your family, or obviously your loved ones travel and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, it's pretty it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool to sort of travel and go. I'm in a show that's traveling the country.
yeah,
But I do love I mean, the West End is the West End, right? Like
yeah.
I'm sure you've had loads of responses in terms of, if you when you ask this question, but the
Especially
West.
the person I've asked this question to.
There you go, even better. Um, the in terms, I'm going to put this in my terms, in terms of football terms. In terms of the West End, for me, it's like the Premier League of football. That for me is like, you don't get any better than that. That's where I will be. If my career ended tomorrow and I said I've been in the West End, I will be forever proud to tell my kids and my family that I will hopefully have in the future, that their dad, or their granddad, or was in the West End, and that for me is a magical feeling. So
Yeah,
yeah, there you go.
amazing. So my rise into the spotlight was unconventional due to the bullying I received, but then over time I saw the positive impact because even a voice as small as mine is making a change. And I'm really, really lucky, and it is starting to make a difference. But it's still not enough. And I'm lucky that I will be speaking at a head teachers conference. In fact, by the time this interview goes out, because it's happening in November. So by the time this interview goes out, I probably will have already spoken at it. Um,
Amazing.
and it's starting to educate from the top. And I absolutely believe that this behavior is learned, and unfortunately, learned from people who we look up to. Like, how do you think that my generation can help this, or are we fighting a losing battle?
I mean, another great question, and to be to kind of answer, to kind of agree with what you're saying in terms of your mistreatment. Shouldn't have happened. Should never happen to people.
Shouldn't have to anybody.
Um, I had exactly that. I had a similar thing with a group of lads at school when they found out I was singing, because I was to them was the cool guy that played football,
Hmm.
and even more so. I'm not that I mean, I'm old, but I'm not that much older than you. But in terms of then, it wasn't cool, and to act and sing. I was kind of
Most
like,
places it isn't cool now either.
exactly, and
I was never portrayed as the cool kid that plays football. I was the weird kid that tried to run onto the football pitch and tried to help them only to be caught.
brilliant. But do you know what? Right, the funny thing is about that is, it doesn't matter what you're
Yeah,
perceived as. Right, that doesn't matter, because I didn't want, I never labeled myself as a cool kid, because I think
yeah.
that's like, but I know I did theatre. And
Hmm.
at that point in time, I felt the need to hide that, because I didn't want people to know, because it wasn't cool. And
Yeah.
you look back nowadays, and it's my job. And
Hmm.
now people that used to take the mick out of me message me and ask me for tickets,
Hmm.
and that I find very funny, because I'm like, in school, you used to all you used to do was take the mick out of me because I did theatre and I sang and I danced. So, I was this and I was that. And now you're messaging me because you want my discounts. Do you know what I mean? And that for me is, I never say anything. I just sort of bide my time. But that for me is enough to go, do you know what, actually? You might have thought you were the bigger person then, but I've come away the bigger person because, one, I didn't react to it. Two, you rise above it. It's not nice and I'd never condone it. But hopefully in the future, and look at you now, Charlie, like the comeuppance in terms of not what they're going to get. That's not what I'm saying. But the fact that you're an honest, lovely lad. We're all human beings, right? And that for me is that feeling of everybody will get what they deserve in life, whether that be good, whether that be bad. Don't get me wrong. We all have great personality traits. We all have some terrible personality traits.
Yeah.
Some more than others. But I think it is that thing of, I hope we're not losing. I hope we're not losing. I hope we're not fighting a losing battle. That's the one. Put my teeth in. I think the more, again, I think it goes back to, there's loads of different movements happening at the moment, which I think are great for the universe and the world, and where people are more open to everything. And I think that's great in terms of being, accepting. You will always get people that won't. And that'll always be the downside of humanity, because people don't open their eyes. And we're so lucky in the arts that people are willing to open their eyes. And I think, like you say, this industry is a beautiful one because we're allowed to create and we're allowed to be very kid-like. When I'm the hilarious thing is, I now get paid to do what I used to do as a 5-year-old child. I basically run around and pretend I'm someone else. Used to swing on a monkey bar, pretending I'm a Spider-Man. And now, I get to run around pretending I'm at war and that's the beauty of our industry. We just get to do what we love as kids, basically. But what I think is a lovely thing for you now is the fact that you have this platform to make this more accessible for everybody. And I think for you, never stop driving that message, no matter how old you get, and no matter how much. It's difficult, isn't it? Because when you get thrust into the spotlight at a young age, it's like, oh my God, this is amazing. And I think for you, never lose sight of who you are, because you have a great, you're a great person. You've got a great idea. You've got, in terms of the way you want to move forward in life, and spread that, because I think for people like you can make a difference. And mate, it's the way it should, the way it should be. And when you have that opportunity, absolutely take it with both hands, because you've been given the chance to explain to people what you went through. And I'm sure you've had this loads, but people will message you and go, I've been through that. And, even myself, I know I've been through that. But the fact that someone's actually like yourself has gone, actually, I don't want to stand for that anymore.
Yeah.
That's a huge thing, mate. So just keep driving that forward, and, do it for everybody out there that's been through that. Good lad.
Thank you. And with being a popular kid and having loads of friends, when I was in year 7, my head of year had a talk with me and my mum, and she went, I think you need to get out of the library a little bit at break time for lunchtime. I think you need to try and get on the playground and make some friends and that. So I went out of the library, me, and I stood in the middle of the football pitch and I yelled, pass, pass, pass. And I got ignored, and then I got shoulder barged. And then the year 7 head of year never, ever, ever told me to leave the library and go make friends on the playground again. So,
well, I mean, worst comes to worst. It's not you're never going to get shoulder barged again, which is a fantastic thing. So, because that's never nice. Even playing football, that's really never nice.
Friends just on my own without going out onto the playground.
Exactly. And also, like you say, you will attract the people, because good people attract good people. I've always said that. And good people get what good people, if you give good things out into the world, you'll get good things back. And I think that's my partner Soph's a big believer in that. of the
Mhm.
fact that if you give, and I've learned a lot from her, if you give good things out and you give good energy out, that's what you're going to get back.
Yeah.
I am learning. I'm still a learning curve, and everybody's learning every day. But I think it's a huge thing, especially when you're young, to follow
Oh
that,
yeah.
I think.
Absolutely. Sorry. So my aim over the next year is to set up a day with industry leaders and stars so that kids who have never experienced any form of the arts see just how amazing it is. So do you think this could be a way of healing some of that negativity?
100%. 100%. I think, like you say, it is funny as well because when if people don't know me, the last thing they presume is that I'm an actor or I'm in theatre, because theatre
Mhm.
to them is you dancing in leotard or you're dancing in some tights, or they forget that it's like Tom Cruise. They forget that you get all these celebrities who are actors, right? And you get all these famous people who are actors. Hugh Jackman started in musicals, right? It's one of those things, and people don't remember that. They just know he's Wolverine. But
Yeah.
it's that thing of they started doing what they loved. They started singing and dancing, and I bet you someone took the mick out of Hugh Jackman when he was younger. Now look at him. Do you know what I mean? One of the most successful actors of all time. And I think,
Hmm.
like you say, I think having your eyes opened to this industry and actually seeing what it's about rather than what people are going to tell you it's about and what it's perceived as. Oh, you've got to go and run around in spandex and you've got to wear ballet shoes and you've got to dance. And it's not that. Do you know what I mean? It's so much more than that.
Yeah.
Um, and people are so naive to what the industry is about.
I
Are you going to
know.
see a musical? Oh God, why would you want to go and do that?
I
Why don't
know.
you go? Why don't you go and see a musical? Open your eyes to it. And I bought some of my dad's friends came to see a musical, and I think they were a bit kind of on the fence about it.
Yeah.
Um, come out and they were like, it's one of the best things I've ever seen. Like totally blown away. And they've been to every musical I've done since, no matter what it is. And I think that is a feeling, and my dad works in the building trade, um, and I love that feeling of seeing a person in an audience who you go, he's a normal man or she's a normal woman, and they sort of sit there like, come on then, impress me. And by the end of the show, they're in tears. And that's an amazing feeling that theatre has, and that no other job really gives you.
Yeah.
Um, the fact that you can move someone by what we do, and you can change someone's emotion, you can help people heal, that have been through issues.
Yeah.
That's a great thing. And if people understand that, then they might understand they understand the industry a bit more. So I think 100%, and the more people you can get there, and the more people you can get there to inspire at all walks of life, get people who were born in theatre, that weren't born in theatre, that were, just fell into it, that just, and you can show so many things, because it isn't just you go
Yeah.
to and you do ballet classes and then you
Yeah.
sing a bit and then it's not that. It's not
No.
that. And I think that's the perception we need to change. I think that it isn't gone are the days where you have to go to ballet at this time and then on to jazz. You do a bit of tap, and it's not about that. It's about us doing it because we love it, and
Yeah.
about opening people's eyes to it. That's what I think.
Yeah. So, what role do you most like to play, regardless of gender, animal, or age?
Oh, good question. Mm.
I
I'll
know
give you.
who I'd play, so
Go on, far away.
I'd play Beverly Bass in Come From Away.
Very nice.
Favorite show, favorite character in the show, favorite song in the show, favorite musical theatre song of all time.
Big tick.
Tick
You
tick
just
tick tick.
just tick it all off. Why not? Tick it all off.
Exactly.
Oh, good question. Right. I've
And it
got.
doesn't just have to be in musicals; it can be in like movie, TV,
Okay.
anything.
Oh God. Can I give you three answers?
Absolutely.
Is that all right? I know
Okay.
that's
Yeah,
I know that's cheating, but
no, it's fine.
we won't tell anyone. So my favorite film of all time is The Great Escape, which is a war film from years ago. You probably won't
Mhm.
know of it. And the
Heard of it.
actor,
Never watched it.
yeah,
I've heard.
you might be a bit too young yet, but it's the best. It's my favorite film of all time. I love it. I used to run round. We used to have on the stage at my old when I was at school when I was about 10. We used to have these hatches on the stage that you could pull off and go under the stage and pretend it was a tunnel. And that's what they used to do in Great Escape. They built a tunnel to get out of the concentration camp. And I used to literally every day I'd be in there pretending that I was the character I'm going to tell you about. So it's a character played by Steve McQueen, who's one of, I think, the best actors of all time. And his character called Hiltz, and there's a big scene in it that's like there's a massive motorbike chase, and he jumps over a barbed wire fence, and it's just epic. So in terms of a film, that would be my film. In terms of musical theatre for someone I could play, I would say, I've always said, and this is a split decision, Phantom or Valjean. They were the roles for me that were the shows that I went, and I've been lucky to do both of them now. Not the parts, but in terms of the shows that I went, this is what musical theatre is to me. Taking someone on an emotional journey for 2 hours, nearly 3 hours, and being able to sing your heart out and leave it all out there. And I think for me, they are the pinnacle of musical theatre for me. And if I get to play one of them, or maybe both, touch wood, who knows?
They're two of the most iconic characters, definitely.
Exactly. And I think if you can tick those off, I think you've done all right. Do you know what I mean? That's what I think. I'm like, yeah, I've done all right. Pat on my back. I've done all right if I've done those.
Yeah, I've done okay. I've played like no one important, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. And then female wise, do you know what? I went to go and see Anything Goes with Soph, and I would love to play Sutton Foster's part in that. That'd be really cool. Just an epic. She just doesn't stop. Like it just literally just go and go and go and go. And so I think that for me would be the role I think I would go for. And I probably never be able to dance it. Well, I could dance it to a degree, but I don't know if you'd want to pay the money that they paid for Sutton Foster for me. But that would probably be the one I would go for, just because it's a big old sing, great acting part, and you get to do a bit of cheeky little tap as well. Why not?
Yeah. So, what do you most get in trouble for? Mine is asking really, really random questions that have absolutely no answer. And apparently I talk a lot. I don't know. Don't get that. No, absolutely not.
I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say that. No, anybody tells you that, send them to me and I'll sort them out. So at school, always talking. At school, I'm the same as you. I couldn't help it.
I'm actually one of the quiet ones at school, though. It's just at home.
Really? So
especially when I wasn't at Sylvia's. When I was at like normal school, I was one of like the quietest people there, apart from raising my hand to answer questions.
Well, so that's not bad. I was the total opposite of you at school. I just didn't shut up. I was like blah, 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 the whole way. And every time a teacher turned around, I'd be like talking to someone, and they'd be like, "Vin," I'd be like, "Oh yeah, sorry, I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, exactly. Sorry, I'm so sorry. Yeah, that was me. And
sorry,
then yeah. And then professionally, I don't know. I try and be quite good professionally. I'd like to. I mean, someone would probably see this and go, "Oh, he does this and he does this." All the people that I've worked with before. What I used to on my first job when I did Les Mis originally. I was a bit in awe of the job, so I used to just kind of. I used to sit in rehearsals and just like for my first day Les Mis, I was like the whole day, just because it was everything I dreamed it to be. Yeah, exactly that. Big goldfish. Yeah, exactly. And I think for me, it was that feeling of I can't believe I'm here.
Yeah.
And I think every day I just sort of sat and watched rehearsals rather than taking my notes. And I look back on that year and I learned so much. And, you know, there were times when I learned the hard way because I did things that I didn't know were a thing in the industry. And I was probably a bit naive. But I learned a lot on that job. And that was probably my learning job. So I would probably say that taught me fine detail. That job taught me how to really kind of like focus on the fine details of things. You can't just come in and sing some lovely songs and go home again, like you can when you're younger, or just make it up on the spot. But that has served me so well since my career, moving on through my covers and now the parts I'm starting to play. That's been, I would say, that those fine details.
So, what's your most guilty pleasure? Mine's listening to podcasts of just people talking about really haunted things, which is so random. It's what I do on the train every day when I go into London. I just put my earbuds in and I just listen to things about haunted places.
That's fantastic. That is fantastic. My guilty pleasure. Oh, I've probably got quite a few. I'll tell you what is a guilty pleasure, and it's a food rather than a thing. Pick a mix.
I love pick and mix so much.
Honestly, pick a mix or cheesecake. So obviously for Cinderella, I had to get in quite a good shape for Cinderella because of the costumes and stuff. But on my cheat day, I would hammer the pick a mix. Like honestly, like if we go and see a film at the cinema or watching on the sofa at home, I'm like, let's get some sweets. And like when I was at Phantom of the Opera on tour, we went to go and see, I think it was Doolittle in the cinema, which was okay, but I spent £17, I think, on pick a mix.
Well, I mean, it's not cheap. You can probably get about 10 grams.
Exactly. Well, if you go to the pound shop, that's what go to Poundland because it's the best. Then you can get like four for like.
I feel like I get into the shop and I immediately see a bunch of parents just going, "Oh, don't worry about using the prongs, little Timmy. Just stick your hand straight in." Or what? Even better, do it with your mouth and then drop it all back in. Like, I tried to get some pick and mix from someone the other day. I don't remember what it was. But all of the pick and mix was just coated in this orange Cheeto dust looking thing. And I was like, yeah, Mum, no, I'll just get some normal sweets.
I'm going to be honest. I'm going to be totally honest right now. I'm the guy that picks it up with his hand. I'm like, no one's looking. I'll put some in my thing. I'll have a lace.
I'll only do it if I'm getting either giant cakes or the licorice because they're just annoying.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. And also,
but other than that, I'm like,
why do they give you scoops? Sometimes I need a tong and a scoop. You know what I mean?
Now, the only places I can find are the tongs that have like little holsters inside of them for when you get chocolate raisins. If you get chocolate raisins, they all just go like this.
Yeah. Also, my top tip: don't get jelly beans first. If you're going to go with jelly beans, go last. So fill it up, and then pop your jelly beans on top, and then then give it a shake because all the jelly beans will fall into the holes where the sweets are, and then you can go more jelly beans on top.
Okay.
So that's my top tip for pick a mix. So jelly bean last. All right.
Rarely eat jelly beans, but I'm going to do that next time I get pick a mix.
Or chocolate raisins. One of the two because they're
so much.
Chocolate raisins, the best.
I normally
yogurt raisins or chocolate
first, so I'll start doing them on top.
Yeah, get them on top because honestly, when you go for if you get a snake, it's going to go right to the bottom because it sits in the position nicely. Or your fudge bottom.
I only get snakes. They go in if I'm getting the bag because there's no point getting them if you get the pot. Because you get one snake,
too much space. And I'm always bad because if there's an option of a single cup or a share cup, it's always going to be the share cup for me. It's never going to be the single.
Because I feel like the bags are a lot more limiting because it's then by the certain weight instead of just get the pot.
Yeah, always go with the pot. The bag's nicer because you can always get in more, but again, you got to weigh it. That's why you never buy pick a mix in the cinema. Always go before. That's another top tip. Always buy your pick a mix. This has gone down a very strange path, but always buy your pick a mix.
Have like this massive wall of pick a mix, and then I go into the shop and it's like this.
Yeah. What happens to all the good ones?
That's what I mean. Like they take out the licorice and everything, and that's the best part. Oh. Hello?
You back? He's back.
I'm back.
He's
You back?
I'm back. Are you back?
It's close to the room. It has really bad Wi-Fi.
That's absolutely fine.
Yeah, my internet connection is unstable.
Absolutely fine. That's like my mentality, a bit unstable. It's fine. But what I was saying, there's a whole wall, and then we go down to 3 sections. What's going on there?
And like, I get it for the licorice, and then I go to everywhere. Yeah, no, sorry, we don't stock licorice.
Yeah, what's like my watermelon slices?
In the supermarket in their own brand thing, and then they're like this thin.
Yeah,
they're like that. And me and Mum are like, where's the licorice in that?
Absolutely. We've gone on such a it's hilarious.
Hello?
Is he back?
I can hear you, but you're frozen for me.
I can hear you.
Yeah.
I can hear you.
Hello? Hello?
Are you back?
Hello?
Oh, hang on.
So, what's your most disgusting habit? Because we all have them.
Oh, disgusting habit. Probably, and this is a me and Soph one, is what we call poppering. And this was a thing, well, it's not a thing I was introduced to, but we give it a politer word. It's basically farting. And we do it when we're at home, we're terrible. But we call it poppering, and we give it a nice name. So everybody does it, and we're very open to it. And that's probably something in our relationship that we're just like, yeah, that'll do. It's absolutely fine. It is what it is. And that probably exactly. And that probably is our most disgusting because we're just so used to it now. So it's just natural.
Yeah.
But I would say that is that. I think that is that.
So who's your biggest idol? Mine's probably Stephen Sondheim because he was just a man of genius.
Lovely, nice choice. I'm gonna say I'll say 2.
Okay.
I've got performance-wise, I would probably say who I grew up listening to in the MT world was Ramin.
Mm-hmm.
That like for me,
He's amazing.
Oh, have you met him?
Yes.
What's he like as a person?
He's so lovely. He's so lovely.
Amazing. I'm glad you said that. Yeah, that's how I grew up, and basically it made musical theatre for me exciting. Listening to him, watching him perform, and I was about the right time for the 25th anniversary of Les Mis, and then Phantom as well for at the Royal Albert Hall. And the sound of his voice it blows me away, and his performance qualities.
It's so amazing.
If I can be half of the performer he is, I'll be lucky and be very happy. And then film, Captain America. If I could be anybody, and most people know this about me, if I could be anybody, I'd like to be Captain America.
I love Marvel.
Oh, it's Marvel
and Harry Potter. Just
really. So I'm Marvel and Star Wars for me. Marvel and Star Wars.
I like Star Wars.
That's absolutely fine. Some people, it's like Marmite for most people.
I could just never get into it. Like I tried to watch the first bit and I was like, yeah, no. And I only actually got into Marvel about 6 months ago when I just watched one with my dad. And now I just absolutely love them. What's your favorite Marvel film?
Good question. Good question. Probably Endgame, purely for the fact that I cried my eyes out when Tony Stark died.
I feel like it kind of
and just the end sequence is epic.
Like how impressive it was that Hulk snapped and literally just like a little bit of his arm got burnt.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that would be the one that I would go with. Did you get that?
Okay.
Yeah, I think that would be the one I would go with.
Okay. So now's for some quick fire questions that, because of my internet, might not be that quick.
Far away.
So, favorite place to eat?
Or oh, that's not very quick, is it?
And he's frozen. Frozen.
There we go. And we're back. We're back.
Hello?
Hello.
Hello?
Hello, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Oh, oh gosh. This is just as chaotic as some of my first interviews with the Wi-Fi. And
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yeah.
Yeah, can you see me?
Mm-hmm.
Fantastic. So,
You can't figure out a place. You can just think of a style, like
Flatiron in London.
I love Flatiron so much. I mean, we're pretty local to each other. You're Berkshire, aren't you?
Yes, not far from. Where are you? Oh, down the
I'm
road.
literally on the border between Hampshire and Surrey. So we should go for food one time because I love
100%. 100%. I'd love to.
Oh yeah.
I'd love to.
So, chocolate or Haribo?
Or depending on what Haribo is, Haribo. Depending on what chocolate is, chocolate. Chocolate buttons, love it. Cadbury's Easter egg, love it.
So, text or talk?
Say that again.
Text or talk?
Oh, text.
Shoes or trainers?
Trainers.
Last song downloaded?
Oh, good question. Bring him home, Les Mis.
Oh, cool. What superpower would you have?
Super strength.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I think so.
What was your if you like read, what was your childhood book?
Private Peaceful, Michael Morpurgo.
Oh, I love that book. That's a really nice book.
Yeah, it's really good.
And I know you're not massively a fan, but do you know what your Harry Potter house is?
I'd like to say Gryffindor, but wouldn't everybody? I have a funny feeling I'd be like I funny feeling I'd be like a Hufflepuff. I think. I think I just have a funny feeling. Someone's asked me that before, and that's what I've said. But I'd love.
Wouldn't everyone like being Gryffindor? Me. No, I like being Slytherin.
Really?
I know. Yeah. It's like my alter ego.
That's that. I mean, that makes sense. That makes sense. Cheeky little alter ego in the Slytherin. Love that. Love that. My pleasure.
Well, that is the end of the questions. So thank you so much. It was an absolute pleasure interviewing you. And I can't wait for us to go out and have more long-winded conversations about superheroes and pick and mix.
100%, mate. 100%.
But yeah, definitely. So I'll see you very soon.
Take it easy, mate.
Thank you very much. Bye.
Bye, mate.
Bye. Oh, what another amazing episode. So if you want to see more videos like that, please make sure to like and subscribe and turn on the notifications button. So remember, keep being kind to yourself and others and keep letting your light shine. Bye, guys.